Oh, we're live.
Oh, shit.
Let me check. It says we are.
We're live.
Yes. We are live. I'm making sure it comes up on YouTube. Okay. Hello, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our merge episode. I'm Sam, and I will be co-hosting with Zach, who will have to step out for a second, but he'll be back to join in. And we also have some lovely guests here tonight, so I'll let these two introduce themselves. We'll have CJ from UConn joining us later, and then unfortunately our last guest, Madison, couldn't be here tonight. But Cooper and Shane, I'll hand it off to you.
All right, I guess I'll go first. My name is Shane Killen. I am the co-founder and co-host of Scotty Survivor 1, 2, 3, and potentially player and some other things coming down the line on 4. But yeah, I'm super excited to be back. Sam and Zach are good friends of mine, so happy to support them.
All right. I can go. I'm Cooper. I'm from UConn. Real quick, Sam, do you hear the feedback real quick on my voice? Just
You were cutting out a teeny bit, but then it stopped.
okay. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Wait, all right. Skip to Sam. I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna come again.
Well, this is why we can't have nice things.
Apparently not. All right. So we'll get started talking about not the merge episode yet, because during our last recap, we talked about everything, pre-swap. So we'll start with episodes 4, 5, and 6. Shane, you were here last time. Any big things happening during the swap episode for you?
I mean, to be honest, not like I kind of expected the boots that left. I didn't necessarily like expect them in the way that they went. Like Luke, he was unfortunately like kind of playing too hard. I figured Ben was going to make some mistakes somewhere. But I also think that like he kind of got like that was rough. That was rough to watch. Jenna kind of like destroyed him for no reason, seemingly. Which was just like kind of weird. And then David. He wasn't around as much for me to like form an opinion. So like of those 3 boots, I'm like not really surprised about any of them. I think the way that some of them the votes went down was more shocking. To me, at least, there was a lot of split votes, which we love to see. But I like wish that they had played the idols. Like, come on, guys! Like, what the heck?
Cooper, I just asked Shane, starting at the swap, anything that surprised you, anything you want to talk about? How did you feel about the boots?
It was pretty crazy to see 2 guys go, both with idols in their pockets, and then like the same group of girls just blindside them back to back. And like the girls also had no idea what they did both times it happened to, which is crazy because usually you see them go. I think you guys even like tried to prompt it too, is people sharing their idols. But both of these guys were like clearly super fans. They're like, I'm not sharing it, and then they didn't play it. So now it's like nobody even knows about this like sharing thing, and like the girls were like, oh, like we got him. And I think like Autumn had a confessional too where she's like, oh, he has to have an idol, like he has to, and they still did it. It was crazy.
And it's yeah, especially because they had these trust idols that the purpose was to be shared, to let it out so people, puts a threat on you, but also technically helps you in the end. And again, like nobody knew about them because they didn't tell anyone. Even beyond telling people about a trust idol, they didn't tell people they had an idol. And so they voted out what's really two very big threats in those idols, and no one even knows they existed.
Yeah, I think it was so interesting to watch, specifically Autumn. I feel like she just has such a good pulse on the game. God, I just don't understand why they're not targeting her. Like, Jesus, like they really. It's honestly kind of shocking how well both her and Greg are insulated for now, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later. But like, I know that like, I'm sure that there's some discussion of them like being threats, but like you really don't see them like gaining any steam. And Greg had a ton of power in these episodes, and I mean honestly, so did Anna. It's just shocking. It's like how a lot of people are like tuning into like Big Brother 25 and like seeing Saria. Not the same thing at all, but like how like returning players come
It's the
and like,
OSU version of it.
like people always flock to the people that like are returning because they think, oh, they have experience, they'll want to keep me safe. Like no, vote them out. Like, believe me, like I am all for them staying, and like and Big Brother, I'm of course excited for Suri, but like vote them out. Vote them out.
Yeah, especially because was it Vinny who got like the first boot? That was so sad. And I was like, oh shoot, like here go all like the captains again. I think this happened in like a Michigan season as well. And it's just like this is kind of the reverse of it, and it's crazy to see how much power they have. I also thought the swap episodes were like crazy too, because you're seeing like 3-2-2s being just like thrown out casually. Like,
yeah.
Do you know how many like unanimous votes we see like and sometimes in College Survivor too? And like there's like none of them this season. It's insane.
And even from the very first vote, there's been nothing unanimous, no easy splits. It's been crazy votes the whole time.
We love to see that.
There's only 2 unanimous votes so far, Robbie and Curran.
Yeah, unanimous votes are like really boring. Really
and
boring.
Even the Robbie, like the tribal was so good.
The tribal was fun, yeah.
She brought the fake idol out, and it was like it was crazy.
All right,
and like
CJ's
the ones
here.
that like were near.
CJ wants to introduce himself.
Oh, CJ.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm late.
You look great.
Yeah, shut up. I'm in my friend's car. Sorry. Sorry for the terrible lighting. But hi. What do you want me to do for introduction? You want me to like say what college I'm from and like stuff like that?
Yeah, like where you're from, what seasons you were a part of, that whole deal.
Cool. All right, yeah. So, hi, my name's CJ. I'm from Syrvivor UConn season 1 and season 5. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I know Cooper and stuff like that. So, I met all of these people through other things. So, yeah. So sorry you can't really see me because my friend's car is pretty dark. So, yeah.
So, CJ, we got Shane and Cooper's. Any thoughts on the episodes from the swap until the merge? Are you sad about who went home? What about those 2 idols going home? Anything you want to add?
Well, it seems like the vibe of the season so far has been like a lot of people like have them been getting voted out are like people that they think are like really sneaky, and like that's a very interesting like thought, and the fact that people that are like more loyal have been sticking around, but like people like Luke and Ben and stuff have kind of gotten voted out because they've been viewed as more like sneaky and like conniving and like kind of talking to the other tribes, kind of even Curran reaching out to people from other tribes like has definitely been an interesting concept compared to different like other seasons and stuff like that.
And based off of our merge vote and this mix of players in the merge, do you feel like that's, is that going to continue? Are they going to keep getting out the sneaky players? Or they mentioned a lot of players this episode who are kind of riding in the middle, and those are options too. Are they going to use those people further down the line?
Yeah, that's definitely like a thought. It seems to be pretty split right now, which is like definitely interesting, and I think it makes for a fascinating merge dynamic. I think the people in the middle, they didn't seem to really turn on yet, but I think at a certain point, like if people are in the middle for like too long, a lot of times like the sides will just kind of get mad after a while when like a certain person is holding the power for like too long. And I think eventually that's going to kind of wear old and kind of become a problem, for them at least. So, but I think it makes for a fascinating merge dynamic as of now.
Normally, I would say that the people in the middle, if they don't play their cards right, would be in a lot more danger. But like someone like Jenna in particular, I think her having Autumn is like such a valuable connection. And even I think that's like honestly probably part of the reason she flipped is like she knows that she has somebody on the other side. I mean, I would be shocked to see them like Autumn specifically go after her, but like crazier things have happened. And like, I don't know. I think she in particular is somebody who is playing the middle who could probably get away with it. I don't think everyone could get away with it.
Wasn't it was it Josh and Jamie who were like seen at a bar or something and then
Yeah.
everybody was talking about? Yeah. So I'm nervous for that pair because if they can't keep it a secret, like these people go crazy over that information. And as we just saw, like it was pretty like if they can keep that under wraps, I think they can. They've done it so far. But also just the fact that she's just willing to be like, I'll just vote against. I'll vote wherever I want, not what Autumn wants is kind of sick. So
I don't know if that was necessarily like the best move for her, but like I'm kind of glad that she did it. Because if we lost Hannah, I was gonna be so not
oh
happy.
my god.
And Hannah mentions too this merge episode, I'm pretty sure she has the most votes out of anybody so far in the season because every single time she goes, someone's throwing a vote at Hannah.
Every time too. Like she said it too. She's like, I just can't wait for playing this game where my name's just not in it. And like, unfortunately, it might just be when she wins immunity at this point because they're like obsessed with her
All the time.
Literally, I feel like she's in danger like every vote. Like why? Like why, Hannah? Like what did she do?
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I feel yeah.
Similarly, just like I don't like similar like what did Hannah do wrong the whole time to like make that happen? I also feel like Mel and Hannah is such an interesting like pairing too because of the way like the original game started with like Mel working with like Luke and Robbie. Like it's such an interesting like, change of pace for Mel, which is like definitely a unique pairing for sure.
And so they're so close now, but thinking back to the beginning, it was Mel and everyone against Hannah.
Yeah.
But then Hannah became, Mel's closest ally because that was all she had left.
It's really interesting. And Jamie's like totally in her own world now. Those three, like, I was really worried that they were gonna just get like picked off. So I'm glad that they're like still in. But I genuinely think that they're, especially Hannah, her winner stock is gonna rise so much that nobody's gonna want her in the end. Like, there's just no way. Like, if I were playing with her and she continually survived vote after vote after vote, I'd be like, damn, this girl's a threat. Got to get her out. Do I want that to happen? Absolutely not. She better stay. She better win. If she doesn't win, cancel the season. But, but yeah, no, I do enjoy the like Hannah, Mel, Kevin trio, which I like wasn't so high on Kevin last time, but he's grown on me.
I feel so bad for him. They just keep blindsiding him.
Not even like I feel like at first it wasn't even intentional. It's not like, oh, let's purposely keep leaving Kevin out. He just never found a footing with anyone. And then it just became the norm, unfortunately.
Well, he voted right this time, right? Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Okay, well, go King Kevin.
He got one.
I feel like there is the potential for this. I feel like I saw this too in our second season of like this power struggle between these larger players, and for the more like under the radar types of people to kind of just sneak through. And if that does happen, like we could see like all the big players going like real soon.
And yeah, we already saw a bunch go pre-merge, and then obviously Josh is the merge boot because a lot of people think he's a threat. And Greg even brings up, it might be dumb for me to vote out Josh because if they think we're both threats, I'm probably next. So do you think that they're going to continue that trend and start targeting, Greg's a threat, Jenna pointed out, Autumn's a threat, and keep going with that?
It was
Potentially.
tough to see like Greg vote Josh out here, even though it like made sense at the time because they needed Jenna with them, but like that's just not ideal for Greg in any way. With like the like seemingly like strongest guy out of here, it might turn into a domino effect, which like he could prevent with his idol that he has, but it's still going to be a little scary, I think, for a lot of the big threats now that it's just like they were like, we got to work together. And then it was just, that meant nothing.
Completely felt
I feel like Greg is getting an edit where he's like almost going to become too big for his britches and like just have this like glorious downfall. Like, I just know it's coming. I just know it is.
Yeah, I even think like even if like Cooper, even you're saying that like if Greg uses idol, I still feel like that's just gonna like raise his threat level even more. That like his days are just gonna be numbered. Like Josh going out's not a good move for him. Like you were kind of saying. Like I still think like his days are numbered in that sense. Even if he uses idol, it's still gonna be hard to like recover from that.
I almost feel, bold prediction, I almost feel that Greg is going to tell Rachel about his idol and Rachel is going to be the one to take him out eventually. I have a lot of stock in her. I think that her winner equity has rose like through the charts these past couple episodes, and I have my money on her at the moment.
All right, so I see Shane is stealing my winner pick here, which is fine because I was gonna say too. I think Greg needs to get far, and then Rachel will like definitely take him down. But I think Rachel proved here where she's like she just has a bunch of these connections. She's revealing this information. Also, was she the girl that saw like the U with the 0 and then the
She
X in it?
had the t-shirt theory, yes.
Yeah, and then Greg was wearing that shirt in the episode. I was like, oh my god. But she's so attentive. She's so like strategic. And I think like she's just is like thinking, I think, way ahead of the entire.
I've had Rachel as my winner pick for a while as well, which is kind of funny that we all three think that way. But
I'm worried now. I'm scared.
No.
You're gonna jinx something that happened 5 years ago.
I'm like, oh shit, like we all have the same one.
It's never good when the three of us have the same thought.
Exactly.
Rachel's doomed.
She's so doomed.
I like Juliana's edit a lot because even though the vote didn't really go that way, I also noticed that Jenna was saying how like since Greg and Rachel were kind of pushing like Hannah or like what's it called? They were pushing Jamie or Kevin down like their throat. Like Jenna was saying how like Juliana was like listening to her and like actually taking in her input. And I think in that sense, like Juliana, I think is like a dark horse to like kind of survive, especially on like that other side. I think that there's a chance that she can go deep in the game. And like because we all said Rachel, I was kind of trying to throw out another name that like we could go with, but I think that Juliana has high potential on the other side because I think Autumn's like too big of a threat on that side, but I think Juliana can kind of like sneak by.
I think what Shane was saying too, like if the big threats go after each other, CJ, like it's gonna be a lot of these girls who are kind of playing like under the radar right now, and like Juliana's kind of just doing the best at like just being a good presence and like not doing too much. Like she's not like leading the strategy, but she's actively trying. And like every video I've watched her talk to someone, they just have good vibes from her like immediately. Like she's so excited to play.
Yeah.
So I'm worried for Rachel now that we all just did this. But I agree. I can see like maybe Rachel becomes too big of a threat, and then like Juliana's with some other girls who maybe don't have the best jury management at the end, and like she can like take it.
Yeah.
Final three: Juliana, Rachel, Kevin. Done. No, but I actually laughed out loud when Juliana was talking about picking up the trash. That was so funny. Yeah, I like her a lot. I was also
She's
gonna
like a
say,
good person.
Yeah.
yeah.
She's the sweetest.
I was also gonna say if the big threats go after each other, it seems to me like Autumn is getting a little frustrated with Mr. Greg. And as somebody who has also played with friends, I feel like in my season of College Survivor, I feel like that's never when you start to get frustrated with your friends, it's never a good sign, and that's going to be the beginning of the end of your working relationship. So I would not be surprised if it becomes Autumn v. Greg. I also think that Greg is walking a really fine line. Well, we haven't talked about the fact that he like named the merge tribe. Like,
That
So
was so funny.
That's so funny.
CJ mentioned Julian's edit. Julian has a very good confessional where she brings up, Greg did all that and basically punked everyone, and they just let it happen. They were like, oh, this is hilarious. But is that a sign he's getting cocky where he is in the game?
that's
And
exactly
also,
what I was
Karen
saying.
really wants us to discuss this merge name. So we want to hear your thoughts.
It's more what I was saying. He's getting too big for his britches. He like thinks he's like running the show, and he's like, I can do this and get away with it. Granted, it was iconic. I laughed really hard. I was like, no fucking way. But yeah, I think that was ultimately really not smart for him.
Yeah, and especially now with the idol too. He's definitely like, oh, he's like 2 for 2. Like I got another idol. I was also kind of cool how I think like Autumn like won the first immunity again, and then like he found another idol again, and they're kind of like replaying their past. But I think like Greg is just like so funny. But I do think it's a little bit of cockiness is seen like through the name, and people were clearly noticing it.
Like Greg has been he's not, like I know that he's like survived and he's been driving things, but it's not like they almost targeted him at the beginning of the game. Like he could have been a Vinny part 2. I think he thinks he's in a better spot than he is in this particular merge.
Yeah.
If you want a fun fact too about the fake or the original merge name, is that
We all
looked up what it meant like right after the challenge and found out, and no one told Greg, the host, until afterwards. So then Greg had to text everyone and go, we can't call it that. Change the
Greg,
name.
if you're watching this, Greg Friedberg, we were robbed of that, and you were wrong for that decision.
How could you?
It was funny though.
I was wondering why like the other I was like this tribe, and I was like, I forget what it is, but I was like, that's not what Greg named it.
Yeah. Greg is now the true villain of the season.
Yeah, I also find it interesting that like Autumn had that confessional that she's like, I want to be the last like returnee player left. And like I found that interesting because like Greg seems to like have like no doubt in Autumn despite them being on like opposite ends. Like he seems to not have like much doubt, and Autumn has shown a lot more doubt in Greg than like Greg's shown in Autumn, at least as of this point.
It's always the way. It's always the way.
Yeah. Autumn's like getting ready to
Yeah,
I'm seeing the writing on the wall for him. It's not looking so good for Mr. Greg Lawrenson. But he must I feel like he's gonna go out like 7 or 6.
Who did he tell his idol about?
He hasn't told anyone as of now.
Good.
Oh, okay. All right. I was a little confused because then Jenna was talking about like don't be like even if you trust me a lot, don't tell me about your idol. So I didn't know if he told me, but okay, good.
Like no one has signed his trust paper, and his idol expires at 7.
Can he still do that now that it's final 10? Because wasn't it did final 11? Was that where it like expired?
I think you had to get it signed before 12.
It had to be signed before final 11. So like after the 12th person or whoever got 12th place is out.
Wait, but
then you can no longer extend it. So when Ben got voted out, you could no longer extend the power of the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, this
so
is
Greg found it.
So by the time he found it, he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is not the wait. I'm sorry, I forgot when he found. This isn't the merge idol, right?
No, this is a pre-merge idol that he found after the merge.
Okay, yeah.
So there is a merge idol still out there
Yes.
lurking.
Is that also a trust idol, or are you not revealing that?
You know, I hadn't even considered that you may ask that question. Hi.
You'll find out.
Okay, fair
yeah,
enough.
You'll
Hold
find
on.
out. At
Hold
some
I was also gonna say too, while I'm expecting Autumn to take out Greg, I think that it's not a good move for her. Like,
Why is
especially if she does it sooner rather than later. Look, if she does it, she's going right after him. There's no reason to do it earlier than like final 5, final 4. Truly, she needs to keep him in. I don't think she will, and I think it'll be her downfall. But yeah, she needs to keep him in.
So I know we talked about the merge name. Did we talk about the challenge at all yet?
We did
Touchy
not.
subjects. Any thoughts?
And
Hannah?
Muriel and Jackson. Hello, some urban legends coming back. Come on, theme.
We love a whole fake twist.
I thought it was so funny how Jackson was like, yeah, these people aren't going to be your friends in a couple weeks. And then he was like, wait, no, but like after the season. Like he had to like clarify that it was like after the season, like everybody will be friends.
Just right now.
I was like, are you sure about that, Jackson?
Oh yeah, that was I like my mouth dropped when like Eric was like, they're gonna join you, they're gonna pick team. I was like, no way they're about to do this right now. Like you guys got me. Like Greg is a host also just multiple times. Like there was like a 4-3 vote I remember, and he like pulls it up and he pretends like he's about to say like the 5th person vote out of Survivor, and then he gets me every time. Like everything I'm expecting, I'm like, no way, and then he just pranks me.
Yeah, it's funny, honestly. I love to do that as a host. It's always the best.
It was funny watching it back, doing an entire fake challenge when you had to do an entire merge and an entire another challenge. Yeah, there were some unhappy production members that day.
And on
But
top of
the
that, we had
rest
already
of
done an
them-
entire fake swap challenge, what have you, earlier. So
I think touchy subjects at the merge is a really good like drama starter. I also think it's interesting that Autumn won. I think that's again not good for her particularly. It shows her awareness of the game, which I mean it's really good for her in like a game sense, but like as like a reputation wise, maybe not the best. So yeah.
Yeah,
I loved it though. I thought that was a great like touchy subjects right away. Boom.
I will also say, I'll like rant real quick, but Hannah as the biggest bitch, I'm
What the
sorry.
fuck?
Where the fuck did that come from? They only wrote her name down because they just wanted to vote her out. And that's why she got that. She was not because she was actually, and then she's like, oh, like I guess they figured it out. I'm the biggest bitch. I'm like at my screen. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like,
I was so
literally
mad.
not.
I was like, what is
You're
she
the
talking
hero.
about?
Like, what? That was crazy. That was crazy. I was like, I would have never put her down for that.
and someone brings up to a tribal where they're like, the thing is, some of us haven't met each other yet. So, you know, if you're going to throw anyone under the bus, you might as well throw under someone who you haven't spoken to.
Yeah.
I think
absolutely
also I
hate-
remember distinctly that no one really recorded a confessional about this, but in the Sumo at Sea challenge, Hannah was throwing a lot of elbows at Jenna, and Jenna was not pleased with
Jenna
how
was
Hannah was.
pissed.
If you go
Jenna
back
can
and
get
watch,
over
you
it.
actually
Good
see-
for
you
her.
actually see Hannah throwing her elbows.
Queen Hannah.
And so I think a bunch of people who didn't know Hannah were like, oh, this bitch is throwing elbows. Like, okay. And I think that's genuinely, and the votes were really scattered on that one, if I remember. So it's just a combination of Hannah threw a couple elbows and nobody was like, well, no one's really done anything that bad yet.
Yeah.
It's called a competition, and she doesn't want to go back to tribal. How about that?
She's tired of
Well,
tribal.
all but like half of them got out the first round anyway, so.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah, that
I
was
genuinely
crazy.
was so shocked that Hannah was labeled that because, like, just look at her. Like, she doesn't look. She looks so unassuming and so nice. Hannah, if you're watching this, I can't believe you called yourself a bitch because you did not seem like that at all.
So what do we think about the other touchy subject answers? Of course, Josh wins Baywatch. Greg and Josh win Biggest Threats. Rachel's the dark horse. Any thoughts about any of the other superlatives?
And nobody wants to see Mel or Kevin after this.
Ever again.
And
Yeah.
Taylor
And they
needs to step
bonded.
it up. I think those are all the ones.
Another,
What was the like most likely to lose at Final Tribal Council or like biggest go or something? Wasn't there that too?
I think it was who needs to step up their game,
And that
Yes,
was
that
and that
one.
was Taylor.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, what?
I'll say also when like Josh got like the biggest like threat or who needs to go next, like he had a good confessional where he was like, I was expecting it all to be Greg, but like I got like half the votes there. And so the inner me is like, okay, so you should work with Greg. You should try and save yourself. But yeah.
I think another interesting thing, where is all of the, I get that she like could maybe be a little bit intense, but where is all the like Mel is crazy like stuff coming from? Like that's another one, like everybody's like Mel is crazy, and I'm like, are we watching the same show? Like
It's hard to show, but
I feel like
I've put in some nuggets. There may be future nuggets that come out. Who knows?
I feel like maybe it's just like I'm used to like psychos playing Survivor at CMU, so like she doesn't seem like all that nuts to me particularly, but apparently to this cast she's crazy.
She just seems like super like ready to drive the strategy kind of and like ready to play. And I think some of the other girls are like not that like in like intense about it. And then she also just has like crazy allies like Robbie and like so maybe that just rubs off on her.
He starts the game with Robbie, I mean.
Well, it's so interesting watching her play compared to her brother. It's just like they seem so different in terms of gameplay. But maybe we'll see. I don't want to. I'll maybe hold back on that one. Where's Jake? Why isn't he in this season? You should have brought him back as an urban legend twin twist. Come on.
He was on crew. He was there every episode.
True. Fair. We were robbed of a sibling twist.
I say, so like moving past the challenge and touchy subjects, the episode kind of starts out with, Jamie tosses out Greg and Josh as like kind of threats. And then we kind of see that Hannah and Mel are like, I don't think Jenna is a secured vote. And then Mel kind of makes this alliance with Kevin. And Kevin has not had an ally the entire game. And I just wanted to say, like, I thought that was a pretty smart thing because Kevin could have flipped, but I think Hannah and Mel kind of making that alliance with him definitely kept him on side for the vote.
Kevin is like a little puppy dog. It's like all he wants is a little attention, somebody to just like love him and guide him through the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like he just seems like a nice guy who just like wants to make friends and be like in a group of people that like want to utilize him, and they did a good job with that.
It's also a group of people that like, well, like despite like Hannah, like people aren't really paying attention a lot to like Kevin and Mel. They're like overlooking them. So like it just makes so much sense for them to work together, I think. And I think like those two specifically are going to benefit if the big threats start going after each other, because they're going to be able to kind of like maneuver back and forth. I think Hannah talked about like, oh, like what if we just go with this group and then we just want to flip to the next group next time? And I was like, actually, please do that because that'll be really funny. But like, we can do that and then nobody's really paying attention to them, and that's their fault. And so they're not going to get like a lot of like backlash if they were to flip alliances for their game.
The Tika 3 strategy. Go back and forth.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, they bring up how Tara Tibu comes into the merge with 3. Shindan and Kaidi both have 4 original members. So like they could very easily even it up as long as no one notices they're flipping between groups. And like Cooper said, it doesn't seem like they do.
I think they have to like, they're going to have to like join opposing alliances in order to do so. Because I think it's going to become really clear as time goes on. Like there's only so long you can hide that for. So I'm rooting for those 3. I mean, mainly just because I love Hannah and I don't want to see her go. And I will be very sad when she does. But also, like, I think Mel and Kevin have been overlooked, like Cooper said, and it would be nice to see them like gain some stock and some respect by these players.
Mhm.
Also Hannah too, for whatever reason, stopped writing her name down. Fan behavior.
I think too, if like Mel makes the end, I just feel like she like low key, like people are saying about Hannah, but like she kind of has this story of like my tribe was horrible. We went through so many, like we could not even get a single ball in like the Home Depot bucket or whatever it was. Like she went from that to all the stress, and then she just got into a position where she's like, you know what, like I can flip back and forth on these people. So like she probably should work with Kevin because I feel like Kevin wouldn't gain the same amount of respect that Mel maybe would potentially, depending on what happens.
Totally. Question: does anybody know that Mel's brother is on production?
Yeah, I think everybody knew.
But it's not. It wasn't really a factor.
No, I just was curious because like I would hate for that to be used like against her at the end if she were to make it. And I feel like some people, like not necessarily in your guys' club, but some people totally would use that against somebody. So I just was curious, but I'm glad that that's like not really like a factor.
I think it kind of helped that Jake really didn't do that much in season 1. I love you, Jake. If you're watching this, you're my bestie. But Jake knows this about himself, and he knows I love him. So I think if Mel had been attached to like someone who's like a bigger, like an Allie, or like I don't know,
like, Jackson.
Yeah, like I think that would have made maybe people turn their heads a little bit more. But I also genuinely think people were just kind of like, well, just because you're related doesn't mean that you'll be the same.
I love that.
I think Mel showed that in the first like 2 days of playing.
Right, because they could see that Jake was a simp for Will Wall. Sorry. Jake, love you. Sorry. We've had this conversation before. I mean, okay, fair. If like a Survivor player was playing with me on College Survivor, I would also have a hard time not working with them. Okay, like I get it. Damn, I didn't realize that was going to be as savage as it was.
I giggled.
We always giggle about it.
Sorry, Jake. I mean, I played with him, so it's fine.
We'll segue out of there for you. So, you know, on the other side of things, we start to see like Josh and Taylor target Hannah because they don't want to target the biggest threat, but they want to target someone close to Greg. So, you know, they start kind of rallying those troops for that side. And it eventually gets to the point where they start to bring in like Juliana, Autumn, Jamie, and then they start to get Jenna. And Jenna really is like the crux of this merge vote because, I mean, obviously the editing showed that, but like Jenna really was like the vote. And we start to see both sides start to vie for her. So what did you guys think of like the Shindana people's approach to her?
There was multiple videos where like Jenna's just sitting there. She's like, guys, it just doesn't make sense for me not to vote with you. And they're like, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, I watched the episode twice. And the second time I'm like, you are not voting with them. Like, what is happening? So it definitely like, were they like blindsided that Jenna made her decision? Like, did she tell people that she was like, 100%?
She fled.
Yeah.
You'll see the fallout in the next episode.
Okay. Because like if they were blindsided, that's not really good for Jenna, especially because I feel like they were just, she was really reassuring them is my point. Like she was really making them feel like, yeah, like this is fine. It just makes sense for me guys to vote with you. And then she doesn't vote with them. So they're going to be mad. Like if someone was like, oh, it makes sense for me to vote with you. And then they don't do that. I'd be like, then why did you do it?
Jenna is giving villain of the season. Like, bruh. When she was going after Ben, I was like, what did this poor man do? What did he do to you?
Jenna was very stressed with school. Ben was very stressed about the game. And Jenna's like, I don't have time for that.
To this day, Ben does not know why Jenna like destroyed him.
You know what? He was robbed. I'll say that.
Robbed. Bellsbrook robbed.
Could have saved himself, but
I totally think that this is like Jenna's like rise to becoming an even more villainous player who like they're gonna need her vote, and so she's gonna be able to do whatever the fuck she wants for like a couple more votes, and then people are gonna be like, what is she doing? I could totally see her making the end and like people being like utterly bitter at her.
Honestly, that like might be the strategy for some of these players. If Jenna's like jury management is anything like what Ben was,
Yeah,
I don't think she's gonna win this game.
it's not looking good for her.
Yeah, if it keeps up, like she could like change it now that it's the merge. But if that does keep up, like it's almost kind of smart to take her to the end because you know there's going to be a lot of bitterness, especially if you're someone like Juliana who's just so nice to everybody.
I feel like the Shindana side. Sorry, the names confuse me. I just go by like the people. I think it's the Shindana. Autumn is the Shindana side, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the Shindana side, especially Autumn, are just assuming that they have Jenna because of their pregame relationship with her, which is always a terrible thing to assume. Like you never just want to assume that somebody's gonna vote with you because you have a tie. Like, granted, I don't know if it was the most logical decision, and they're right to think it is the more logical decision for her to vote with them, but they should be working harder. If they're worried about her, work harder. Like if she's like if she's reassuring them like so much, I would be a little suspicious of that. Like personally, I think all it takes is just like a little like for them to meet individually with her like the other side did. Like I think the like Tara Tibu side of things and Greg played this like excellently. I don't know why she flipped. Doesn't make sense to me, but
I really want to know her thought, and I'm sure this will be like in the next episode, but her thought process to flip here was really interesting because she's going to the other side and she's telling them, she's like, oh, I think she was like, Rachel says I'm the swing, which means Rachel doesn't trust that I'm going to vote with her, which means like I don't trust them. But like I wonder if Rachel and Greg just really had such a good pitch. They were just like, you know what, like you have to do this in the last minute. She's like, honestly, yeah, like I want to do this. Or maybe they could have gone to her and been like, well, I guess you don't know about the Autumn connection. Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting because like it could work out if like she plays it off well, or if she told them that she's just gonna, but then I don't know. I probably wouldn't have been 6'5" if she told them. So I'm like, oh god.
I'm also
I guess I could have put like time markers. Like the conversation that Rachel had with Jenna was like 5 minutes before tribal, where she was like, oh, you shouldn't. Yeah, it was like maybe we could have put like a 5 minutes before tribal. It was like legitimately. I think they say this in the meeting where like Jenna had not met with anyone all day.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like blowing up her phone, and Rachel and Jenna met like 5 minutes before tribal. And I think it's in the episode that Rachel's pitch was basically like, if you flip, you're at the bottom of Shindana. Where like, if you stay with us, me and Greg will always prioritize you over Hannah, Mel, and Kevin, was basically their pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Rachel
that's in the episode, but it's like right at the end after everything. So I don't blame you if you don't remember because there's a lot going on.
I think so interesting that side. If they're going to weaken Greg, choosing Hannah is a really interesting choice. Like Rachel's right there. Like
Rachel, but she's too good.
Too good. Like it is really surprising to me because like if I'm looking at just like the teams that have been together the whole time, like Greg and Rachel have been together, I would see them as a much more threatening pair than Hannah. But like I guess Rachel just is like better connected, I guess.
I think she just like blends in with some of the other like under the like the radar players, and I think there's a good group of them, but like we are seeing her confessionals and they're not. And I was thinking about this too. I was like, if we don't see her confessionals, we're just like, oh, like
Rachel.
She clearly is here to play, but then we see her confessionals and we see how much thought she puts into everything that she's doing. Totally. So like she's definitely is blending in really well, especially because that's the best way to weaken Craig right now is take her out.
Also, I think it's funny how like everybody was like freaking out about people having flowcharts. Like,
also everybody was doing it too.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Like, what the heck?
Like, here's my chart of everything that's happening. I'm like, I cannot read this. There's so much on there.
Yeah, no, totally. As if that's like not like a common thing to do. It totally.
It's like a normal thing at this point.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see this like fallout because I'm not really sure what Jenna was thinking at all. Just very intrigued by her.
Mad.
I feel like Autumn would be mad.
I'm really mad.
Yeah, this is giving very similar vibes to like our season 2 merge vote where somebody turned on a group of friends. Yeah. And it didn't turn out well for that person. So
I love that they're being called to like the sorority girls, like this.
Yeah,
oh,
it's
the
so
sorority.
funny.
That's so funny because they do it in front of like all the sorority pictures. It's so good.
It really is so funny, and like it's just like a stereotype that is just hilarious to me.
And also on that side, obviously you've got Shindana who's been together, but you've got Jamie who voted with them because she was close with Josh. She's gonna vote with Josh and those girls she's been with over her original tribe. Where does she fall in all of this fallout?
Jamie is like such a fun player to watch because like I thought she was super quiet. I mean, her starting tribe was like pretty out there. And then like she's not really doing anything, and then she just like whips out a fake idol confessional, and you're just like, holy like that starting tribe is wild. But like she's kind of just like a, you know what, like I want to do this player instead of like, oh, like what's like my bet? Like she's not thinking. I don't think she's thinking. I think she's going vote by vote, and it's so fun to watch because she's just like, you know what, I'll just go with you guys this time.
I actually laughed out loud when she was like, maybe my fake idol is the reason that they're doing this. And I was like, no, Jamie, no. It's like, it's giving like Jamie from 44 when she talked about like all the different like adventures.
Which you think she's idle the whole time.
Yes, exactly. Also, like side note, I like think about that like starting tribe and like what would have happened if Vinny had like survived that vote. And I just gotta say it, like I think we're living in a world where this season is better for it. Like I do like Vinny, but like I feel like these groups of people probably wouldn't have come together in the way they did, like Mel and Hannah and Jamie like off in her own world. Like I feel like we would have gotten a much more like boring like steamroll type vibe because Vinny is like, I'm a returning player. I don't want to go against the grain. I feel like it was actually like a really good thing for the season as much as I would have liked to see him go further.
Some of this might be just the editing too, but it feels like every boot, like you know who the boot is. Like they have their chance to like do something and like shine a little bit. They always have like some part of the story that goes to them. Like all of the guys so far, you've mostly been like, oh yeah, like he's doing this or he's doing that. And so the people who are in the background, once those people go, now it's their chance to shine, and now they're coming forward. It's like it's like getting the most out of the cast because like everybody's just like everybody who goes early has their moments to shine earlier too.
Yay, Zach.
Yeah, that was my goal, was that I feel like everyone in this season does have a story, and I wanted to make sure that came across. And I think that's probably the thing I'm most proud of with the season, is that every single person's story I think is told pretty well. I
would totally agree.
Because I feel like there's always a couple people in the season where you're like were they there? Like what are they doing? But I genuinely think everyone in the season has like at least one episode where they really get to shine. I think that what you said is spot on. I agree. Like,
no, I totally agree. And I think, yeah, it's always so nice when you get a cast that like is able to give you that. Like as an editor, I feel like Zach, you've had so much room to like play around with things, and that makes the season better, because I think when people are giving you more interesting things to work with, you're able to like the college Survivor editors are only able to do what we're given. Yeah. And like I feel like that's something that like a lot of people don't understand. Like so many times when I've aired season, people are like, why didn't we see this person? Or like, what was
they
this
didn't
whole
send anything?
I can't do anything about the fact that they didn't film that. Like in a perfect world, everything would be filmed. We would have every single conversation. We would be able to like give you every part of the story. But like, I think what's great about this is that these players are giving you that, and you're weaving it in a way where everybody's like departure feels like they're the hero of their own story. Like kind of like Cooper was saying.
Yeah. They all think they're like like this is my season, and then they go home.
Yeah.
But it's also crazy too, like because Shannon and I are both editors, and I'm watching this. I'm like, these players film so much. Like I am jealous how much these players are just whipping out their camera every time they talk. That is awesome. I love to see that.
Yeah. Sometimes it is really hard to like. I mean, I feel like my players have generally been good about it, but like there are times where like there's a couple people where I'm like, oh, I'm using like the same video over and over and over again.
Yeah, that was me in UConn season 2. I'm using the same photo, like the video of like Bijan, like from final like 14 onwards, because nobody recorded. But this cast is awesome with it.
Well, I have to give Greg F like major props because he literally would text people all the time. Like players will tell you that Greg would annoy them with how much he would be like, "Hey, I saw you had a meeting. You need to record a confessional." Hey, there's only one person in this cast who I think was lacking in their confessionals, and I'm gonna expose them. Jamie would record like one 90-minute confessional a week. Jamie did not care. So I'm getting the fucking mileage out of Jamie's 1-minute confessionals the best I can. But everyone else does a good job. I honestly feel like a lot of people, like, maybe they're not the most exciting, like they're like kind of monotone, but they all like have individual thoughts and like go into like their thought process and like what they think is going on and have opinions. And so even though they're maybe not the most exciting speakers, I think they definitely gave me content to like craft a story, which I appreciate. If I ever do another STC season, that will not be possible because nobody recorded like they did for this season. So
I will say what you're saying about like them, like the types of like personalities that you're like giving to them and just the way that they're talking about the game. I think what makes College Survivor different from Survivor itself is we're not here to learn about everybody's like stories and what makes them them, and like we're here to watch them play as college students and the dynamic that comes with. And sure, you learn about them and you learn the dynamic that they have with each other and how their relationship as young adults like improves and or doesn't. But we're not. Survivor is more focused on who they are as people, and I think that we get so much more time in College Survivor to learn how they are as players than we ever will in like CBS Survivor. And that's why I love College Survivor. It's because like I'm not necessarily interested. Of course I want to know about who they are, but like I feel like they really beat it with a dead horse on CBS. Like they truly do. And I'm hoping that maybe like the 90-minute episode jump will maybe increase some of that. But that's why I don't mind longer episodes in College Survivor, because I feel like there's so much more that happens because there's so much more time. A vote in regular Survivor is one night. We have like, I mean, maybe it's just us, but like we've had sometimes like almost up to a week for a vote. So like, and that's crazy because that's too much time. But like sometimes shit goes down in that last 24 hours and it just becomes like a really exciting thing. And so I think that's like the power of, I don't know why I went on this rant, but yeah.
I think to go off Shane too, a point I've seen before is that obviously these are college students. They have housing, they have food. The challenge is, you know, it's like a couple hours of their day once or twice a week. But for the most part, the most time they have to do is talk to each other and go absolutely insane over it. So we get so much good content over that because you cut out technically like this actual physical surviving part of Survivor. And there's a lot more you can do when you can be in the comfort of your own home doing these things and strategizing.
Yeah.
In some ways, I think it's harder. Like, of course, you don't have to survive on an island. And that is by far, in my opinion, the hardest part of Survivor. But I think the dynamics of being a college student and juggling this, the paranoia, like when you're like just being around your friends, like, you know, like when I played College Survivor, I was wary to like who I could even talk to, because I'm like, who could leak what I'm saying? Like there's like just like the psychological impact of playing on like a college campus with people that like anybody could know anybody. Like that's the crazy thing. I don't think it's like harder than Survivor in like the way, like in a physical sense, but like in a mental sense. I mean, it goes for so much longer. I mean, the psychological like impact that has, like, so I don't know how long the season was. I'm assuming
this was 90 days.
This was 90.
Damn.
It's like Big Brother. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I think our longest season was like 107 days.
Oh my
Long
god!
time.
I think ours is like 91 or 92.
We started at like 70, and then All Stars was 107 days.
Damn.
Wild.
Shane, you bring up a good point about, you know, anyone can know anyone. We saw season 2, Autumn and the girl who she lives in the same room with are playing together all season. This season, you've got Mel knows Robbie from her floor. Josh and Jamie are friends, and people are starting to point it out that, oh, we've seen them out and stuff, but like nobody really believes them.
Look, the first thing
they're like, oh, they're just at Bulls. That's fine. Like that's a bar.
The
but,
first thing I
did, been good friends the whole time.
The first thing I did as as an actual player was like figure out who knew each other. I mean, that was also a lot easier for me to do as somebody with an advantage of being a past host of the club.
Cheater.
But like it's so important for you to know who knows each other, because like I'm just like waiting for them to like, and it's happened already, for them to like start shit talking each other's friends. Like it's just so funny, and we see it every time, and every time I'm like, oh my god, if you guys just like did like a little bit of digging or like paid a little bit more attention, like you would realize all these things.
I also love that the whole Jamie Josh bar thing is that Mel is 100% right and nobody believes her except for a single person. Like they're all like, she's crazy, as if she didn't physically see them with her own 2 eyes at Bullwinkle's. Like,
and everyone's saying, like, what do you mean they were together? Like, what does that mean?
It's giving, and they were roommates.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's because they don't trust her, I feel like. And I mean, you know what, Mel? Add it to your resume for you to talk about at the final time.
Yeah,
you do. Yeah, it's so interesting.
So there's one other thing I want to talk about before like talking about like the end of the episode. Well, I guess it's kind of the end of this episode. There has been only one woman voted out, and all the other boots have been men, which people in the like live chat were kind of throwing out as well. This season is kind of perfect to me. I love when women succeed. You know that Reese Witherspoon video? Women's stories matter. They just do.
True.
And that's how I feel so far. But how do we think about that?
Look, it's so nice to like see that. I mean, coming off from even like an inter-college game where like all the women went first, it's like it's so refreshing to see that happen. And like when it happened, like for us too, it's always just like it's just so nice to like see like like an actual, I mean, I know that it's like not necessarily happening here, but like a group of women actually succeed. Like when we have an actual successful women's alliance, maybe.
I think it is funny that it isn't a women's alliance that's like voted out all the men. It really just has been like relationships and how the strategy is fallen.
Yeah, of course.
Which I think is even more fun than just like, oh, all the women banded together and that's why. Like I think it just shows that everyone's playing really hard and it doesn't matter like what tribes or it all is based on like the game and the relationships people are building.
The tribes in like the actual show too are like it's the 3-tribe format. Like you want to keep your good challenge players, and we just keep seeing them think that the women are weak and just voting out the women. Like 5-6 pre-mergers like are all women these past few seasons. So I'm watching this season and I'm like, I'm waiting for it. I'm like, oh, but the other vote was a girl. I'm like, all right, here it goes. And I'm like, what? It keeps happening. It's a guy every time. It's insane. Like this is so rare in a season, which is so sad, which is why it's also so awesome to see it actually happening.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's like another good point that you brought up is like that doesn't matter here, like the challenge performance, because you don't know what, like it could be anything. Like who knows what like anybody's gonna come up with on these college campuses. Like the shit that we came up with is like, who the fuck thinks of these things? Sorry, like it's so true. Like we're all a little psycho if we're on college Survivor production.
We're doing challenges on a budget. Like you can't go too crazy and make it a huge physical thing, because 1, that's not fair, and 2, we can't afford it.
Yeah, I really like how everything has been like super balanced, and I feel like that's something that we strive to do too. It's just like making sure that like challenge performance isn't a reason to vote people out. And I love that that's like a huge aspect of College Survivor. I feel like it maybe at the beginning it started like at the beginning of College Survivor, like that's when it like was more important. But like I think as we've seen more clubs and more groups of people doing this, it's really faded away from that, which I love.
And I think too, like you obviously still have those people who are come in, people see they're super athletic. In the back of everyone's minds, they're like, oh, are they going to be a challenge threat? But that's never the forefront of why they get voted out of the game.
Right. Totally.
So Josh is voted out 6-5. And we're left on a little bit of a cliffhanger there. So why don't we move into like, unless we have more to say about the actual episode, I was like, what about predictions? Like, what do we think is going to happen?
Who's next?
Who's next, guys?
Oh, jeez. I think it'd be also like crazy if like a guy did win this season, because it's either Greg or it's gonna be Kevin. It's like a Vanuatu. But yeah, coming up for this, I don't know, because again, like that conversation with Jenna and Rachel was super last minute, which means that's probably why it was 6-5, which means the big threats could be a next vote. But like if people are like pissed at people for lying to each other, it might not be a big threat. Like it could be someone who's like kind of like flipping back and forth, like maybe like a Jamie, like that could happen too. Like I think Jamie's in danger because her name was out here a lot. And I think Hannah has people like protecting her now, but like Jamie could have also protected Hannah and then didn't. So they might get like a little suspicious of that, I think. As to like a winner, like now that we all said Rachel, I'm like, oh my God, it's not gonna be Rachel, is it? But I think Rachel would be like a real, at this point in the game, she's just shown so much like capability for strategy too, and it's working so well. And like it seems like Jenna was kind of swayed because Rachel was a big factor in what was happening this round. But also we all see that. So like, do the other players also see that is a big question. But I think Rachel's gonna go far, especially because like she's able to like bounce back from things, and yeah.
Yeah. I think that any of the people that were like originally in danger this episode before like it kind of became like a Hannah versus Josh are the people that are in the most danger for this next vote. Just because history repeats itself, and that also includes Hannah, unfortunately. I think she's going to continue to get votes. I also think that I like no offense, I kind of like Taylor's like win equity to me has dropped a lot. I kind of like forgot about her in this like wildness because she's just so much more low profile than some of the other people. I could see her outlasting or being like a super easy boot because it seems to me that she's connecting with people less so than the others. And if look, I feel like there's going to be a lot of arguing after this vote, and so they might just want a very simple vote, and she could be that person. I like somehow doubt it because it just doesn't. This season doesn't really give that to me. Like it's gonna just be like an easy vote, but if it were that, I would say that she'd be the one to go.
Yeah. Jacob brings up a good point in the comments. Jacob, thank you for watching all of our episodes and being a good supporter. I appreciate all your feedback, and I have been enjoying doing the live chats with you during the episodes. He said Taylor's lost all of her core allies after being in such a good spot. And that's like when we talked in the swap recap, like everyone's like, Taylor's in a great spot. See, she's so social. And now it's like we've seen like all of her allies get stripped away and she's kind of like almost on an island. I mean, she's not quite on an island, but she's almost there from where she was. So I think that was a good point to bring up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could also see, I feel like it's happened already. It's just like people, the groups of people just changing almost like every episode. Like I can see these votes not being like I can see them being side versus side, but I see the sides constantly changing. Like Jamie and Jenna clearly showed this game. Like we don't really care. Like we're just gonna kind of go with what we want to, and then other people are just gonna go for the strategy. So I think we could see like a lot of like flipping back and forth because it's already been set already for all these flips. Like it's been happening a lot in the pre-merge too. So I think that trend might continue.
I hope so. It's always more exciting when we get like constant flips than like a boring steamroll. Like, look, I like the side that like came out on top tonight, but I don't want them to just steamroll to the end. So boring. Please no.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel like we're not going to see a steamroll here. I think it's
I don't think so.
Super chaotic.
I think Autumn's going to be fucking pissed. Yeah, I feel like Autumn is going to try to take some control back.
They all should be. I think they're all going to be pissed. They're all like, if that was me, I'd be sitting at that tribal like, what the hell just happened?
But I think that Autumn... Yeah, I think Autumn has the most like ability to actually do something about it. That's my guess.
Yeah, or like like Jacob brings up too, like, or the trio of like Mel and Kevin, like again, like that they're gonna benefit from that. People flipping back and forth, they can do it, and nobody can be mad at them because everybody else is.
Are there any other predictions of what's going on this season? We talked about how before there's been no idols, Greg found an idol, Jamie found a clue during the fake merge challenge. So are those actually going to come to play? Or are we going to keep seeing idols not being played?
I feel like Greg's going to be too cocky to play his.
I know. Like I was thinking the same thing, Shane. I'm like, watch a third, like, and it's like all guys too. Just go home with the idol in their pocket.
It'd be funny.
That'd be like evil editing too. If he does go home with the idol in his pocket, he's like, "This is getting played, guys. Don't worry, we're playing this."
Yeah. No. Also, so unrelated, but y'all were the brainchild behind the fake merge challenge. Survivor, you should have taken notes from Survivor Time and Change because that's how it's supposed to be done. Not any of this hourglass bullshit.
I was gonna say, did we do a fake merge? I guess we did because that was 2018. Wow. Come on, CBS.
But I do think Greg is gonna leave with the idol in his pocket. I just don't see him being like. I just think that he thinks he's gonna be like. Look, I like Greg. I feel like he's in a position where he's gonna just assume that people got him. He's gonna be too trusting of Rachel, and that's gonna cost him and Autumn.
Any other bold predictions? Someone in the Google survey last week said that Kevin was going to be the breakout star of the merge.
Look, I hope. That would be great.
He could be, honestly. I think he's going to be the last guy standing. I really do.
Truly. Yeah, he definitely will be.
I wonder if they might like target him for that. Like, I don't know. Like, if he's the last guy and they're like, oh, like, he can have the story of being like the last guy in the season. Like, what if he makes it to the end? Like, I think it's going to be a final three of all women, which is
all women final three.
If Kevin's the last guy of the season, that means there's only 2 other guys on the jury. What stock does that really have?
That's why I was like, I don't know, but I don't know. You could see that he could try and play it, or I just feel like he's just gonna. I feel like people are gonna like be going after each other after this vote, and Kevin's just gonna be there like watching it all happen and just like. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen.
Look, I was blessed with our first 2 seasons being all female final threes, so I am just praying that this one joins the club. Please. Players, I know that this was 5 years ago, but for our entertainment, please.
You can't change a single thing going on.
No, if I think it, I will. Like it'll.
No, we definitely jinx Rachel. We totally jinx Rachel. Like
poor Rachel. Rachel, if you're watching this,
we're so sorry.
As if she didn't already probably get voted out.
Yeah. I think that's all. Did you have any more questions, Sam?
That was all I had. We kind of did everything.
Jacob also on the Rachel winner pick train.
Yeah. See, everybody's saying it. It's making me like.
Sorry, I'm still on the Rachel train.
Okay. Last thing, if Rachel is your outright winner pick, who's your dark horse at this point in the merge?
Probably like Juliana.
Yeah.
I just feel like similar to Kevin, I feel like there's going to be a lot of like going back and forth with these people, and the best kind of person to deal with that is someone who's like, you know what, we're probably not voting on the same side, but like we're still fine with each other. And I feel like Juliana gives off that vibe, so I think she can make it to the end. I think people will underestimate her, and if the jury's like bitter, like they're definitely going to be like, oh my god, Juliana was so nice to us. And even if they aren't bitter, I think they'll still be like, look at how she handled it. So yeah, so that's like the dark horse, I think. If Rachel gets caught.
Definitely agree, Juliana, dark horse. I think if we're talking in terms of threats, like big threats, the person who is like that dark horse is Hannah. She overcomes all of this and she's the winner. If she doesn't, well, she'll be toast. Or even Greg or Autumn, but I just don't see either of them making the end. Like I would be really, really surprised.
I could see Autumn more so than Greg, but both of them, I'm like, it
No
is
way.
their time, and I feel
Both
like
they messed something up.
Yeah. I think it's either Juliana or Rachel. I think Jenna has a good chance of making the end and people being bitter as hell. I think Jenna is our third placer, or Kevin. Or I could see like people like liking Kevin and like throwing him a vote. That's always so funny to watch, is like when people like really want somebody to get third place, so they throw a vote when they know somebody's winning like by a lot. It's happened more times than I can count.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have. So do you guys have any parting shout outs or promotions to our 6 live viewers? What up, live viewers?
Cooper?
I feel like we have the same one, Shane.
Yeah,
both of our colleges both have 2 seasons out right now. Definitely go watch them.
I think we're in the same position.
And we're both editing 3. We're in the process of editing 2 seasons at once at the moment. But yeah, so definitely check out Syrvivor UConn. We have a lot of good ones. There's some crazy players too. You can check out CJ's first season. And yeah.
Flop J. Yeah, no, definitely
Where
go.
is he?
Yeah, definitely go watch Syrvivor UConn. But yeah, Scotty Survivor season 1 and 2 out now. Season 2 was my first
crazy,
so
like, good
thing. So I'm definitely like I love both seasons, but that one I like actually did all of it. And season 3 is coming. I know I said summer. It's looking more like fall. I am definitely working on it, and it's coming. It'll be here by the end of the year. I just need a little bit more time to like. There's just a lot of content, and it's our largest cast yet. So I think I overestimated how much work it was going to be and how much time I was going to have. But it's happening. It'll be here by the end of the year. I have to have a screening of the first episode in a couple weeks. So it's coming.
All right. Well, we want to thank Shane and Cooper again for sticking on this whole time, and CJ for the brief moment he was here. And
Flop J.
That was so CJ.
Showing up in a car where we can't see him and then dipping without a warning.
Beautiful face. Couldn't even see it.
And then, of course, everybody watching, thank you for watching all the episodes, hanging out on us for this merge recap. And the next episode will be out, like usual, 8 p.m. next Thursday. So we'll get to see fallout from the merge and everything beyond. So thank you again. Have a great night.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.